Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Korean Learning Zone. I'm Minji, and I'm super excited to be here with you all today.
And I'm Jisoo. It's really great to have you joining us again for another episode. We've got a pretty essential topic lined up for you today, so, get ready to dive in.
Yeah, we totally do. Today we're going to be talking about five core polite Korean expressions that are they're crucial. They're going to help you so much in showing respect, which is like a huge part of Korean culture, and just navigating your daily interactions.
Exactly. I mean, these aren't just words. They're really, gateways to understanding and respecting Korean customs. So we're going to break them down for you, give you the lowdown on when and how to use them properly, and hopefully you'll feel much more confident using them out there.
So, yeah, I guess that brings us to why these expressions are so fundamental in the first place, right? I mean, in Korean culture, politeness, it's not really just about being nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's really a cornerstone of communication, It's all about showing respect, and not just to elders or superiors, but really to everyone you interact with. It just sets a good tone, doesn't it?
Totally. It really does. It's about acknowledging the other person's status, their feelings, and just, building those positive relationships, whether it's with a stranger or a new friend or someone at work. It really goes a long way.
For sure. These expressions, they're kind of like your social lubricant, I guess you could say. They smooth out interactions and really help prevent misunderstandings. It's a sign that you appreciate the other person too.
So, speaking of smoothing things out, let's jump into our first expression, which is excuse me. Now, this one's really interesting because there are two main ways to say it, depending on the situation.
Yeah, that's right. The first and probably the most common is 죄송합니다. 죄송합니다. You use this primarily for apologies, like if you accidentally bump into someone. Or, to politely get someone's attention, say a server at a restaurant.
Right, versatile for apologies and getting attention. Then there's 실례합니다, 실례합니다. This phrase is for when you're trying to pass through a crowded space or need to politely interrupt someone who's speaking.
Exactly. So 죄송합니다 is often I'm sorry, or excuse me, attention please. And 실례합니다 is more like excuse my intrusion when you're just passing by or need to interject briefly. It's a really key distinction.
That's a super key distinction. Absolutely. And speaking of showing proper etiquette, another expression that's just fundamental to Korean communication is thank you.
Oh, for sure. And the standard go-to polite way to say thank you in Korean is 감사합니다. 감사합니다. This is your all-purpose thank you. You can use it in pretty much any situation where you want to show gratitude, especially in formal or new interactions.
Yeah, whether someone holds a door open for you or a store clerk helps you find something, or even if you receive a compliment, 감사합니다 is always appropriate. It's just the safest bet, really.
Exactly. It just works, everywhere. Now, there is another common way to say thank you, which is 고맙습니다. 고맙습니다. While 감사합니다 is sort of the ultimate formal and widely applicable one, 고맙습니다 is also polite, but it often feels a little warmer, a bit more personal.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You might hear 고맙습니다 more among friends who are still being polite to each other, or perhaps with family members, when the context is a bit closer than a totally new acquaintance. But honestly, if you just stick with 감사합니다, you'll always be in the clear. It's never wrong.
Speaking of always being in the clear, there's another incredibly important expression we absolutely need to talk about, and that's how to say I'm sorry properly in Korean, because, mistakes happen, right?
Oh, absolutely. And just like with thank you, there are a couple of ways to say I'm sorry, depending on the situation and how formal you need to be. The most common and widely accepted formal way is 죄송합니다. 죄송합니다.
Yeah, 죄송합니다 is definitely your go-to. You'd use this when you've inconvenienced someone, or perhaps if you've made a mistake in a more formal setting, like at work, or even if you just accidentally bump into someone on the street. It conveys a strong sense of apology, showing a real acknowledgement of your fault.
That's right. It's the one you'll hear everywhere. Now, for a slightly more casual but still polite I'm sorry, you have 미안합니다. 미안합니다. It's a little bit softer, I guess.
For sure. You typically use 미안합니다 with people you're, a bit closer to, like friends or family. If you do something small, like you're running a few minutes late, or you accidentally spill something on yourself, or if you need to quickly apologize for a minor oversight. It's still respectful, but just less formal than 죄송합니다.
So we've talked about saying, excuse me, thank you, and I'm sorry. What about when you actually need to ask for something politely? Like if you want someone to give you something or just make a polite request?
Good point. This is super practical. For common polite requests, especially when you're asking for something to be given to you, the most useful expression is 주세요. 주세요, attached to a verb. Like, 물 주세요, 물 주세요, means please give me water. Or 커피 주세요, 커피 주세요, for please give me coffee. It's like your go-to for pretty much anything you want to receive.
Yeah, it's really versatile. You'll hear that all the time. But what about when you're making a more formal request or asking for a favor? There's a different one for that, right?
Exactly. For those more formal situations, or when you're asking for a significant favor, you'd use 부탁드립니다. 부탁드립니다. So it's like saying, I'm asking for your favor, or I humbly request. You might use it if you're asking a professor for an extension, or like a colleague for a big help on a project. It definitely carries more weight.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've covered asking for things. What about when someone apologizes to you, or, when you want to politely say, it's okay, or no problem? Is there a standard way to respond gracefully in Korean?
Oh, absolutely. This one is super useful, and it's 괜찮아요. 괜찮아요. It's incredibly versatile. You can use it in so many situations.
So what are some of those situations? I'm just curious, how broad is its use?
Well, first off, it's your go-to for it's okay or I'm fine after someone apologizes to you. So if someone bumps into you and says 죄송합니다, 죄송합니다, you can just say 괜찮아요, 괜찮아요. It's also used to mean no problem. Like if someone thanks you, you could use it to say no problem at all.
Ah, so it's not just for apologies then. Like if someone offered you something and you wanted to decline politely, could you use it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. You can definitely use it to politely decline something. Like if someone offers you more food and you're full, you could say 아니요, 괜찮아요. 아니요, 괜찮아요, which is like no, I'm okay, or no, thank you. It's such a handy phrase, honestly.
Wow, that's really comprehensive. So we've talked about a lot of these polite expressions today, 죄송합니다, 감사합니다, 미안합니다, 주세요, 부탁드립니다, and 괜찮아요.
Yeah, we really did. And, I think it's just so important to remember that these aren't just words, are they? They're the heart of how respect is shown in Korean culture. It's all about acknowledging hierarchy and showing consideration, which is, just fundamental.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. And that really matters. So for our listeners, what are some tips you'd give for practicing and really getting comfortable with these phrases? I mean, it can feel a bit, daunting at first.
Totally, it can. My first tip would be to start small. Don't try to master all of them at once. Maybe pick one or two that you feel you'll use most often, like say 감사합니다 for thank you, and just really focus on that one.
That makes sense. Consistency is key, right?
Exactly. And also, I'd really recommend trying to use them in context, even if it's just practicing with a friend or, with language exchange partners. The more you use them in real situations, the more natural they'll feel. Don't be afraid to make mistakes,
Yeah, I think that's so important, not being afraid to make mistakes. Any other quick tips for our listeners?
Yeah, I'd say try to listen for these phrases when you're consuming Korean content, like K-dramas, movies, or even just, Korean YouTube channels. Pay attention to when and how native speakers use them. It really helps you internalize the nuances. And one last thing, just remember that the intention behind your words is always felt. So, just genuinely try to be polite and respectful, and that will shine through, I think.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Korean Learning Zone. I mean, we've really covered some essential polite expressions today, like, 죄송합니다 for excuse me or I'm sorry, 감사합니다 for thank you, 미안합니다 for a more casual sorry, 주세요 and 부탁드립니다 for polite requests, and of course, 괜찮아요 for it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. And, mastering these really is such a valuable step in your Korean language journey, connecting you deeper with the culture and, the people. It's definitely more than just words.
Absolutely. So we really hope this episode has helped you feel more confident about using these phrases. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and joining us today on Korean Learning Zone.
Yes, a big thank you from me too. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss our next episode. We'll be back soon with more insights into the Korean language and culture. Until then, 안녕.